Gamer Type Originals.
It's time for something brief. BalanCity, or BalanCity, or however you feel about it, is a very light indie city building game. Sure, there are plenty of city builders out there, but many just take what works and iterate on it. City Skylines is probably the most popular city builder of the past 5 years, and it's on my shortlist for a future episode, but it can chalk up so much of its success to getting right what 2013 SimCity did so terribly wrong. It's a very iterative genre, but BalanCity is different. As its name implies, your job is to build a block-based metropolis on a fulcrum as high as possible without, the whole thing careening into the void. You'll encounter riots and fires and other traditional SimCity-esque disasters along the way, which are implemented pretty well, and you'll need to handle them while keeping your city literally balanced. Now, I say block-based metropolis, but in reality, all of these structures have different sizes and shapes. While offices and apartments are going to be the bricks you need to expand your city, allowing you to unlock new rewards to expand your height limit, you'll need to accommodate for both weirdly shaped structures to both keep the city balanced and ensure you have a stable platform to keep building on. If you've ever worked retail, you know the pressure of having to Tetris a variety of boxy shapes together into a pleasant conformity that doesn't spill over when you move it. The game comes bundled with a variety of locales and scenarios to mix up the gameplay, but you can also take an empty platform and try to build as high as you can. Don't expect multiple cities, you have a single save slot. It's actually a quaint restriction since this is a game meant to be played in a single session. BalanCity has a very clever premise, but it doesn't quite have enough bones to keep it humming for the long haul. It's a strategy game in the very loosest sense of the term. This is not a free landscape to paint your expertly designed metropolis onto. You're playing a nuanced version of Jenga. There's no money involved, and beyond the base buildings, there aren't a lot of interlocking components to create stable platforms or multiply your city's growth. Sometimes you'll get lucky enough to lay roads, which can be used as foundations for subsequent tiers, but if you try to freestyle a build by haphazardly placing stuff as you need it, you're gonna be very screwed very fast. The game doesn't have a very strong indication as to when you're about to tip the scale one way or the other, and once your demise begins, it's impossible to reverse. You're just gonna have to watch that city fall over. This becomes especially troublesome when you're trying to be precise with building placement and the game's physics and lack of snapping just don't like to play along. It's hard to know why some apartment buildings will snap together when conditions are good and others won't based on the distance between blocks, or why the elevator shafts required for office skyscrapers don't integrate into the buildings themselves. They look kinda dopey hanging out alone. It appears Fernando Cordova built this with his own 2 hands, and as a single developer indie title, it feels solid technically. I mean, aside from some occasionally wonky physics and a lack of meat in the gameplay department, my biggest gripe may be the aesthetic. Characters don't look great, and when they're in trouble, they blend into the city, making them hard to spot. The landscapes are chunky looking in a way that doesn't do the low-res look much service. The construction menu should be sectioned off into like options without all the crazy button colors, and main menu transitions are super slow. The cheery Maxis-like music is always bombastic, which forced me to shut off the audio entirely after a while. A volume slider would help. I really want to like this game, but there's just not enough, structure here. It feels like the first pass of a design document, and no amount of extra content is gonna fix it. It needs more on a fundamental basis. I wish more structures worked and locked together. I wish there was some kind of microgrid. I wish there was a way to build literal infrastructure to support your buildings and transport people. I wish there was more of a simulation happening, or a simulation happening at all. Maybe that defeats the simple purpose of stacking oddly shaped bricks on a perilous plank, but if you're gonna invoke the city builder genre, well, there are expectations to satisfy.